Hello everybody and welcome back to this series of reactions of the Ultimate Dimash Guide by Leela C. Now I'm very excited to say that we are getting into part 4 today, but it is the new remastered, remade, enhanced part 4 that Leela C has been working on, and they asked me to hold off on doing a reaction of part 4 until this version was ready. So now it is, and I'm excited to get into it. My name is Dan Blackwell. I am a music composer and a documentary filmmaker, as well as a YouTuber. This is my second channel where I kind of get into more documentary style stuff, like behind the music. And I also have a main channel called Peace Beats with Dan Blackwell, where you can watch my reactions to music videos, music performances. There's lots of Dimash there. I have a whole playlist dedicated to Dimash, so be sure to check out my main channel as well. So, without further ado, let's get straight into the Ultimate Dimash Guide Part 4, Working with Dimash, Impressions by Pros and Teams. So I think this is perspectives of professionals, performers, artists, musicians, producers who have worked with Dimash and how they've kind of found that experience working with him and what their feelings on him as a professional generally are. So I'm very interested to see this one. I think this is going to be a really, really special one.
С ним всегда легко работать, потому что он дышит музыкой, и он живет музыкой, и питается музыкой. И даже если он в спокойном состоянии, он что-то напевает, что-то думает. Он серьезно талантливый парень. Он уже выходит на любую аудиторию, и он понимает ее и в каждом его движении, то, что он может эту аудиторию скрутить в бараний рог просто. И он в каждом своем движении, в каждой ноте, у него все, он художник. Он не просто начинающий какой-то парень, а потому что в нем есть все-таки вот эта энергетика, харизма, которая влияет на публику. Наверняка любой из композиторов, наверное, был бы счастлив работать с спецом такого уровня.
It's really interesting to hear what Igor has to say, because Igor has done a fair few compositions with Dimash and performances with Dimash. They clearly have a very close bond as two musicians, and from a composer's perspective, to be able to work with an artist who's so in tune with not just their instrument but music as an entire kind of entity, to be able to connect with what you've composed and what you've written and understand what the piece wants as a whole from every aspect, that's always the dream, really, you know. Sometimes you can find that a performer may get sucked into just sort of one aspect of an entire music piece, you know, what the part that they're performing. But I can imagine with Dimash, he has such a musical scope that he's able to think of it from many different dimensions, and that would make him very easy to work with from a composer's point of view, on sort of getting the absolute best out of the composition when performed, you know. So I've never heard Igor actually speak, so it's cool to get that little insight from his mind there.
I think it's beautiful.
一个去 completing 应该难得他那是有点的。
这首歌是从低到高，设计跳到中间这样的音律，所以是完全是没有办法的。
This good。
对，他的意思就是第二部分呢不能那么有力量。
对的，
先去 completing 古典的 short part。
他如果用真心唱的话，有可能不是那么好听。
我懂了。
إذا برد نيزه. يقدر completing خير مانا. يقدر completing خير مص هالشهر طولته. مش completing ولا ما عجبني البيت ولا بس.
But not the opera voice.
وصله أوصل تروح بزيد.
The last time it should be the real voice. I think should be strong.
Okay. 大家好，我是Dimash。
Yes, and that sort of it goes on further of what I was saying a moment ago, of just all these different dimensions that Dimash is able to kind of look at a piece of music kind of holistically rather than like one individual aspect of it. He's thinking about what every instrument is doing, what the composition's doing, how is it lifting, you know, is it achieving its full potential as a piece of music, which is a really great way of thinking. And it's what's nice to see with Dimash and his team is, I mean, I personally, I have mixed feelings on perfectionism. I have seen it work well for people, and I have seen it cripple others. You know, it's one of those things where if you have the right team and the right energy, and you're able to come to conclusions, then it can be something incredible. But like, because I kind of see that with his team, it's just how can we make this better? How can we make this as perfect as it can be? Which it should always be like the kind of mission when writing and working on a piece of music. But that can also be stressful. It can be difficult to actually to reach that kind of final point. And you know, to some people are just kind of never really happy, you know, they'll always critique it. So it's good to see that kind of energy where they're looking at every angle on the piece of music, trying to get it as perfect as it can be, and they do. And then they leave it and perform it, it's there, you know, it's done. And that's the important thing with perfectionism. You need to be able to have that ability to stop and go, okay, it's there. So I think that's largely down to the kind of the whole team that's there, and the communication and back and forth, and kind of respect that all those musicians have for each other, where they can listen to each other when one says, look, I think this is right, that they're going to listen, you know?
Димаш – это, безусловно, очень талантливый человек, одаренный. И мне было интересно, мы до этого не были знакомы, очень интересно было с ним познакомиться, понять, какой он, насколько ему подойдет персонаж, которого мы создаем. Человек залетел в кадр, почувствовал историю и создал того персонажа, которого скоро вы увидите.
There is this extraordinary, unbelievable, incredible singer from Kazakhstan. Where's Kazakhstan? Central Asia. But this guy, whose name is Dimash Kudaibergen, has a voice and a falsetto that is just the best voice that I've ever heard or worked with.
You have been intimately involved with some of the most influential artists of all time. You have worked for Capitol Records, who have published some of the most influential artists of all time. Who, in your opinion, was the most memorable for you that you've ever worked with?
Most memorable from a musical perspective, I mean, there are various incredible, hard-working, amazing musicians. But I always like to look at the modern sense of what's coming next. And this Kazakh guy that I was telling you about, Dimash Kudaibergen, is probably one of the best artists I've ever worked with. He plays incredible classical piano. He plays the dobro, which is a Kazakh stringed instrument.
Yeah.
And he has a musicality and a music sensibility that is the best that I've ever seen.
This is really, really great. Like, I think Leela C's has done such a great job. If you haven't subscribed to Leela C already, I'll put the link in the description. Head over and please do subscribe to Leela C for putting in such an amazing work on this guide. It's really, really something. And I love what this guy's saying here about what it's like to kind of work with Dimash. And I think it's an important point to raise of like how easy an artist is to work with. It's kind of the most important thing. It's almost more important than musicianship to an extent, because you can be an amazing singer, performer, songwriter, producer, whatever, but if you're really difficult to work with, then that song isn't getting completed in the best way, you know? And I've kind of found this in the past with songwriting sessions. I've had many songwriting sessions with artists of all different kinds, producers, singers, guitarists, songwriters, you know, of all kinds. And the first thing is, how are they to work with? Are they easygoing? Is it a good time? Are they open? Do they have social skills? How are they at communicating? How are they? Because it's a very intimate thing, writing a piece of music. You really need to connect with whoever you're writing with or working with, even when it comes to production, even at the level when you're talking about like getting the effects and the production of the reverb and the chorus and the compression. Like, it's still quite an intimate thing because you're working on this piece of art, you know? It's like, imagine if you think of a song as a painting and you're an artist painting it, but you need to collaborate with other artists to get it finished. Artists who you've got the framer and you've got the person who's like putting the kind of gloss on it or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Just as a metaphor, like, you've worked on this piece of art, you've got it to this point, now you're going to bring somebody else in. You really need to trust them to do their job and not damage it, to not remove something that you can't get back from the piece, you know, that they need to enhance the painting. It's just that's a very difficult thing to pass over. So you need to be very close with whoever you're working with on a piece of music. And yeah, so there have been times where I've met musicians who are incredibly talented, but you come away from the writing session being like, there's no song to happen here, you know, like it's not going to work. So Dimash just coming with that energy as a songwriter and a musician and a composer, you know, that energy of passion, enjoyment, engagement, friendliness, you know, it's incredibly important to the whole creative process to have these skills as well. And I think it's something that's often looked over or not really spoken of when it comes to artists. So it's nice to see here when people are saying, oh, this is like the best artist I've worked with. You know, not just the best artist I've heard, it's the best artist I've ever worked with. Like, what does that mean? Because that's more than just, well, he got behind the mic and he sang and he was amazing. No, there's more than that. What was it like to work with them? Did ideas flow? Was it exciting? Was it fun? You know, like, was energy being exchanged? I think that's the main thing that should be focused on what it's like to work with another artist. And so, yeah, really interesting kind of points he made there that sort of highlighted Dimash's strengths in that very, very important area that we often don't really think of, because it's, you know, we just kind of think of the music, you know, the final result, but the process is the biggest thing, right? So this is Renat Gaysin, another composer.
От А до Я он уже понимает изначально, какой должна быть песня. От А до Я он уже представляет, как он ее должен петь, и от А до Я он понимает, и главное, у него уже изнутри звучит некое построение этой песни.
Okay, Dimash, I think, is one of the most amazing singers ever. He has got the voice of a million angels. Not an angel, but he's got the voice of heaven.
Just need to take a moment for appreciation of that song in particular. I reacted to it recently on a live stream, hearing it for the first time, and so cool. I could hear the Michael Jackson influence in there, and just the thematics and the groove of it. What a piece of music. But what I'm really getting so far from this this part 4 guide is just how much Dimash collaborates. I wonder what his team is in regards to sort of like, how do these collaborations kind of all come together, you know? How are these introductions made? Because what I'm noticing is they're incredibly international. It's from all over the world, composers in Russia, America, and sort of all over the place, you know, which is such a cool thing to see, because I think so often artists, not that there are any artists like Dimash really, but artists that you would kind of put on the same artist type, as in kind of like neoclassical kind of operatic singers, they typically have like a composer that they work with, you know? They find somebody, meet a bond, they go, this works, we've got a sound, let's keep doing this, you know? Makes a lot of sense. But it also makes a great deal of sense to experiment and explore and work with as many composers and producers as you possibly can, to see what different sounds you can make and what happens, what's the magic, what's the, you know, what happens when you connect with these other artists. And I think to do that as well, because every time you collaborate with a songwriter, a composer, anything, another creative, elements of their skill will always rub off on you. And I think that there's a little bit of that thinking, motivation behind Dimash being such a collaborator in this way, because it means he gets to improve his artistry by collaborating with so many incredible artists that are all going to rub off a little bit, and he's going to sort of collect a little bit from each musician he works with, just like a little bit more magic that he can bring into his own, you know, source. And So yeah, I think it's just a really cool and inspiring thing to do to collaborate in this way. Not just like with other singers and other performers, but to collaborate with composers and groups and arrangers and songwriters. It's yeah, it's a very strong move, a very clever thing to do, and a great way to kind of enhance your own personal artistry, you know?
Allora, il discorso invece musica lo termino con questa chicca che si chiama Dimash Kudaiberg, un nome stranissimo. Questo ragazzo del Kazakistan di 25 anni è per me, che comunque ho collaborato con grandi musicisti, ho prodotto molti cantanti e per tanti, la voce più bella del mondo.
È stato scritto semplicemente per l'orchestra, dopodiché è stato adattato alla voce meravigliosa di Dimash, cercando di far sì che Dimash possa sfogare tutta la sua estensione. Perciò ci siamo divertiti a balzare da un'ottava all'altra, perché lui ha il potere di farlo. E diversamente un altro cantante. A voi pensate che per fare il provino abbiamo utilizzato 3 cantanti, perché l'estensione di Dimash siamo stati obbligati, per far sentire la canzone di Dimash abbiamo dovuto prendere un cantante con una voce grave, poi una donna e poi uno sopranino con una voce molto acuta, per cercare di arrivare lì. Dove comunque anche il sopranino non arrivava, perché lui è un pianoforte, non è un umano.
Has that ever happened before? Has that ever happened before when composing a song for a singer that you need 3 singers to cover their range? It's fascinating, and I think another reason of why Dimash has worked with so many composers, and what I'm getting a little bit more the more I watch this, is I think that they're reaching out to him as much as he may be reaching out to composers. You know, it would appear that a lot of composers are like, I need to work with Dimash, I'm going to get in touch, and I've written this piece for him, you know, because you get to explore new territory in music by writing for Dimash, because you're writing for somebody who can sing like no other can, you know. So I think there are many reasons that Dimash would be extremely appealing to a composer, but it just, you have freedom in a way that you've never had before, you know, like, and that's always going to be exciting to any composer, and just makes Dimash just incredibly exciting to work with. Yeah, so I think that's more the case potentially, rather than Dimash reaching out to lots of composers. It's more all the composers are reaching out to him, being like, yeah, I've written this thing for you, I've written this piece for you, please could you you know, do you like it, would you like to perform it? I wonder if you could let me know in the comments, like a little bit more, if it's known, what way is that? Is it a two-way stream? Is it happening equally, or is most of the time is it composers reaching out to Dimash? You know, I'd be very interested to know.
Тебе так комфортно, да, вот когда рядом с тобой твои близкие. Получается, вся твоя команда — это в основном твои близкие друзья и родственники.
Да. Ну,
почему? Потому что им доверяешь?
Да. Ну, я вообще без доверия к людям не могу жить.
I want to introduce my team. Not team, my family, my musicians family.
Тогда в Сочи он меня представил, представляете? Это была такая неожиданность просто. Он представил меня и сказал, что вот у Зарины сегодня дебют со мной на сцене. Давайте ей похлопаем, давайте ее поддержим. Она молодец и так далее. Вот.
Моим друзьям и поздравить одну нашу участницу нашего коллектива, Зарина. Это ее первый концерт со мной. Зарина! Спасибо вам большое за ваш профессионализм.
Вот, и это ведь такое ведь никто не делает из артистов.
Кстати, продолжим аплодисменты, друзья. Сегодня с нами впервые выступала 20-летняя молодая девочка из нашего солнечного Казахстана. Это ее первый опыт на международной сцене, если не ошибаюсь. Она очень переживала. Надеюсь, вы тоже согласны с тем, что она сегодня очень хорошо справилась. Please welcome Дружанова Диана!
На самом деле не забуду никогда, когда первый раз Димаш на концерте в Сочи, неожиданно для меня и для Хизри, он в конце программы объявил нас, поблагодарил за дружбу, за работу, за профессионализм, за человечность.
This is so important, and I absolutely love this. I've worked professionally as a session guitarist, session musician, and if you are appreciated and acknowledged on stage, it means the world. It really, because you may not have been there from the beginning of the music project, whatever it is, you know, it may not be your passion project, but you have put yourself into it. You have put your time, you've put your musicality, you've put your energy into somebody else's musical baby, you know, like their passion project, you know. So it must be appreciated and acknowledged, and it's very, very important. It's a good look all round for everybody, and everybody feels good, you know, and there's no reason for it not to be like that. And I think I've also experienced the other side of the coin where you're kind of not appreciated as a session, and you know, something I've heard many times, oh, they're just the session, rather than, oh, this is my amazing session guitarist or whatever who has brought this and done that. It's just like, camera off them, attention off them, back to me, they are just this. I am the artist. That is a massive sign of insecurity, and a sign like that, like not appreciating the people you have around you supporting you. It's all too common in the music industry, and it's so nice to see that Dimash has not fallen into that kind of way of thinking at all. And I can't imagine that he would have. He's got such like a family-driven mindset behind everything he does. It's all coming from a place of like togetherness and family. And I feel that like everybody who kind of gets involved in Dimash's team is joining that family. As he said on stage, you know, it's like, it's not a team, it's a family. And so to acknowledge, appreciate, give support, it's better in every single way. The music will be better, the performances will be better, nerves will be less, you know. It's just it's that I think there's a misconception of what professionalism is, and I think a lot of people think that professionalism is, in order to achieve professionalism, true professionalism, you have to dehumanize yourself somewhat. You have to be more robotic. You have to get there and get the job done and do it absolutely perfectly, not a hair out of line. Everything is bang on, and you sort of show emotion where it's appropriate, and you know what I mean? It's just like in any job, in anything you do at all, it's like I know I'm a professional. I'm not myself when I'm at work. If I'm working at a cafe, no, I am barista, you know, like I am the maker of coffee. I am not Dan, who is making you a coffee. Shall we have a little chat about your day? It's, I am the coffee man, here is your coffee, I am a professional, we're done. You know, I think a lot of people think that's what being a professional is. And I just don't think that's the case at all. I think being a professional is quite the opposite of that, actually. I think it's quiet confidence in your ability and your skill, and conducting yourself with kindness and respect, and I think that's what being a professional really is having self-belief and confidence in yourself, you know, and giving your all to something, doing your best. That's what being a professional is, doing your best. But in order to do your best, you don't have to be unkind or be cold, be robotic. You don't be like that. So it's, I think what I'm seeing here from Dimash and his whole family, his team, is true professionalism. You know, like coming on stage and giving gratitude and thanks to everybody, and getting everybody up front and being together and being like, we're just people, you know. These are all amazing musicians, but here we are, all people. We're having a laugh, we're having a smile, we're having a moment, and we're sharing it with the crowd. That is professional, you know?
И хочется поблагодарить моего друга Максима, Crazy Max, очень известный блогер, и тот чувак.
Я только стою с камерой, я даже это не записал, потом у кого-то попросил, там с фанатом, ну, общаемся с ним. Скиньте, говорю, хоть на памяти, чтобы у меня было такое, ну, приятно было. Действительно очень удивительно.
Ерлан Бекчурин, он аранжировщик и саунд-менеджер, саунд-продюсер на всех моих концертах.
Каждого концерта говорит там спасибо моему брату, другу, аранжировщику Ерлану Бекчурину. Там эмоции, конечно, переполняют. Для моих родителей очень такая честь, я думаю, что про сына говорят. Но за это хочу Димашу отдельно спасибо сказать. Работаем днями и ночами. То есть не каждый артист об этих людях не говорят. Ну, я здесь плохое ничего не имею в виду. Но как бы так принято. То есть Амджету сделали все. А здесь Димаш каждое свое выступление старается отметить меня, рассказать, как он это сделал со мной, как мы это сделали.
Lot of thanks to God, because in front of me, every time, persons with best wishes for me. Yeah. One of them, brother, my talented brother, amazing arrangement man, the best musician, the best sound producer. Please welcome Victoria Dimash! Следующего человека многие из вас хорошо знают. Это человек, который на протяжении всей, почти что всей жизни связан с нашей семьей. Он стал моим родным старшим братом. Хоть и мы по крови не являемся родными братьями, но не важно. Он для меня родной брат. Мой отец его зовет старшим сыном. Найталантливейший аранжировщик, саунд-продюсер, человек, который делал мне аранжировки до АМ-сингера и после АМ-сингера до сих пор. Пацан из небольшого городка, из западного Казахстана, из Уральска, Ерлан Бекчурин!
Ирлан, во-первых, это человек с огромным сердцем и с большой душой, потому что на таком уровне аранжировать может только хороший человек, и он нереально музыкальный. Я очень горжусь им, я считаю огромным счастьем иметь такого брата, такого друга, как Ирлан. Потому что многие артисты ищут своего, того самого аранжировщика. А вот Вите как не повезло. Мы с ним можем болтать часами, мы с ним можем говорить о чем угодно. Он тот самый человек, один из немногих, которому я доверяю, по-настоящему доверяю. И я желаю ему и мне самому, чтобы наша дружба жила навеки.
Just want to stop that for a moment just to say I really like those two. What an interesting sound to have two Dombras sort of over electronic music like that. That's really, really cool. Like, I really want to check those guys out. And yeah, I'm loving this section here about just support, as it was labeled there, of, you know, putting the love and time in to lift each other up, because that's how it's got to be in music. Nobody's an island, and all musicians are in the same boat, and it's, you know, it's up to everybody to kind of like, a rising tide lifts all ships, and you know, if you're having success, it's so important to share that, pass that on, endorse, raise, because there's so much music out there that's amazing. There are so many incredible musicians who nobody's heard of or are on their way up, and it's a real struggle for anybody who's a singer-songwriter or artist of any sort, like to get the recognition and to build a fan base and stuff. It's incredibly difficult to do. So when you have a platform, a great platform in music, and people listen to you, and if you say, go and listen to these people, they're really good, they will. And you almost have a duty to do that somewhat, I think. So it's really nice to see Dimash using his platform, his you know, his celebrity to encourage, support, and lift other musicians. You know, I just think that's a really, really wonderful thing.
Осынау күйді өзінің досым, ол негізі білмейді қазір ше. Кеше айтқан болатын, дайын жасаушылар кезінде. Керек емес білемесін, әзілдеп отырсын деп қойып алған болатын. Бірақ ол әзіл емес. Бүгін қазір үйде дайын сізді айтуға болады негізі. Сіздердің қошаметтеріңізбен ұйғыр халқының бір тамаша, өзім сүйіп тыңдайтын бір халық әні бар. Соны орындау керексің, Расул. Brother, you must do it. Please welcome Расул Усманов! Special for you. Thank you.
Hey Mecnun dal, Mecnun dal, Mecnun dal. Sözlerge kulak sal, kulak sal. Haziranlık Noruz'da, baharda, muhteşem
is a very difficult and impressive thing to do for that man there. Once the stage has sort of been, you know, filled with Dimash all evening with his incredible voice, to then to then sort of be asked to come up on stage to come and sing, and you had no idea you were going to do that. Like that's he really rose to the occasion and really delivered there and like put it out. He must have been shaking like when he first picked up the mic and be like, okay, this is gonna have to be good. You know. Bless him. I feel for him there. He absolutely nailed it.
We know each other very well. Yes.
Fantastic. I think, you know, if you're not having fun, then what is the point? That's the most important thing out of all of it, and I think that was a really nice way to surmise this whole video, is fun. And, you know, whether it's through collaboration, performance, sharing stages, rehearsals, practices, writing, having fun is like it's the core of music, you know, of being a musician, is that if you don't enjoy it, then it's probably not the lane for you. And obviously, like, things become work can become hard, and hard can become not fun. So it's a kind of it's a mission in itself to always sort of maintain enjoyment and fun out of everything you're doing, and that's what Dimash has absolutely nailed, and that's why it comes through so much in his work, why his productivity is so high, and he's creates so much great music and puts on so many great performances, because there is passion, enjoyment, and a childlike humor and fun behind everything he does that keeps things light and manageable, doesn't it? You know, live light, live fun. And you never work a day in your life, do you? You know, if you love your work. I don't like to use the word work. I just like to say being productive. You know, I'm just gonna have a productive day today. That means I'm going to work. You know, but not working. And I imagine that's kind of how Dimash sort of sees things. It becomes life. It's not like at work, not at work. It's living, breathing, loving music. You know, doing what you do. And Yeah, that's what it's all about. I'd like to say another massive thank you to Lila C. Head over to their channel, subscribe. Head over and subscribe to Dimash's channel if you haven't already. And join me next week for the next reaction to the Ultimate Dimash Guide. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a lovely day, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. Until next week, peace and love.